back with Dr. Jen of the Counseling Group for another Mental Health Monday. But before we jump in, I just want to make a quick shout out to Dr. Jen. Tomorrow is International Women's Day, and for owning the Counseling Group for over 25 years, we are so incredibly lucky to have this business a part of our community. So thank you, Dr. Jen, and take it away.
Oh, Emma, now you've embarrassed me. Being a woman in business has not been easy, I would say. It's getting better as the decades go by, but it's definitely been rewarding. And it's so cool that it was birthed and grown in White Rock. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Today's mental health tip is all important sleep. If you don't have good quality sleep, it can actually lead to mental health disorders. But also having a mental health issue or a psychiatric issue can also be the culprit that leads to bad sleep. So it ends up being a little bit of a chicken and the egg conversation. I was looking online this morning, and Harvard Medical School said that sleep and mental health are very closely connected. Sleep deprivation affects your psychological state and your mental health. And those with mental health problems are more likely to have insomnia or other sleep disorders. So basically, if you're already somebody with a psychiatric condition, sleep problems affect about 50 to 80% of those patients. Now, when we think about sleep, if we only give it, a little, dribbles and drabs and it's not very consistent, it's kind of like this plant. So if I'm watering this plant and the water is like sleep and I just give it little thumb drops full every once in a while, it'll still be alive, but you can see what happens at the edges of the leaves. They start to get brown, starts to get a little droopy. It's just not so happy. And that's the same thing if we don't get good quality amount of sleep. So some tips in order to have better sleeps are things like upping our physical exertion, more outside time during the daytime, because then we're a little likely to be more tired. And I know that's hard if you're already suffering from, let's say, depression or anxiety, because you kind of feel like you want to isolate. But if you do get outside, exert a little bit of effort, maybe clean the house, maybe clean the yard, do some gardening or something like that, you're more likely to have a little bit better sleep. Other things are there's natural products like melatonin and things like that that can help make you fall asleep. You'll always want to check on the contraindications if you're taking any medication though, so check with your pharmacist first. But then there's some natural things like tart cherry juice, believe it or not. You can buy it in a jar at the store, or you can get it in concentrate at a health food store. If you combine that with either some magnesium or some calcium, menopause also messes you up. I'm the prime candidate, obviously, wearing a t-shirt in the middle of wintertime. It messes with your sleep. So the magnesium, calcium, tart cherry juice really helps. Some of the other things to be aware of, which is a really, terrible thing in our culture right now, is screen time too. So whether it's your telephone, whether it's your computer screen, or whether it's a television screen, it stimulates the frontal lobe of your brain and stimulates the serotonin actually, which is the opposite of what you need to fall asleep. You're much more likely, if you turn off the screens about a half an hour before you want to fall asleep, that you actually will fall asleep. Similarly, in the middle of the night, if you're the type of person that gets woken up easily, it's suggested that you just lie in your bed for at least a good 15 minutes and try not to have a digital clock either that's shining at you, because that also stimulates your brain a little bit. So less distractions, more darkness, the better. And they say minimum 6 to 7 hours a night of solid sleep is what we really need. The other thing to be aware of is alcohol consumption. Alcohol, on one hand, it relaxes us, it winds us down. If we drink too much, we fall asleep very easily, but we don't stay asleep. It has to do with the insulin and other parts of our sleep cycle. You'll fall asleep like a rock, and a couple of hours later, you'll wake up and then you'll be tossing and turning all night. So if you're somebody who has a lot of problems with sleep, I would really decrease your alcohol consumption. At the end of the line, last case scenario, after you've tried everything else, there's no shame in going to your doctor and saying that you need help with some sleep aids, because the indications of not getting a good night's sleep are worse for your health than being, as people say, dependent on a sleep aid. You'd rather be getting the sleep than not getting the sleep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks again, Emma, and thank you for the BIA.
For more information on Dr. Jen and the Counseling Group, head on over to these links.